Happy
Oop.
Tuesday. It's been a couple weeks. We have been
Yeah,
absent. I've missed you.
it has been. Ooh, and everybody, my light just went out.
You can't
Don't know
tell.
why.
You have a lot of good light in your place. You have good light going.
Oh, good.
Um, yeah, can't even tell. Yeah, so we just had crazy stuff going on, and I think we may potentially move to Tuesday at 2. We talked about it. We might do that instead of at 6:30, just because of this time of year. Especially for me. I mean, you're busy too, but I am running all over the place and people are off work and it's a little bit busier. So it might have to be a Tuesday at 2 thing. We might try that out and see how we like that. So
And with all the sports going on,
yeah.
there's a lot of the spring sports. More kids are involved in sports.
Yeah.
I've been seeing more of that trend or just getting more involved,
Right.
which is great. I feel like I see an upswing with
Yeah.
that.
Well, and like, first of all, we live in Michigan. Today was a gorgeous day, hence the tank top. And, I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm geeked. I'm like a dog that's excited, like, take me outside. And I'm like driving in my car with my head out the window just to like stick it in the sun. Like,
Like Pet
Mm.
Ventura.
Literally, we're so deprived. I'm like, God, it's like I feel so bad for us. Like, you really, truly, my whole everything was different today, just with the sunshine and the knowledge that like this weather is coming. Good
Yes.
weather is coming.
Oh, this is
So
gorgeous. The
yes,
motorcycles that are out, the convertibles with their tops down today. Oh,
everybody's happy. It's like
everybody's
everybody's
happy.
excited and happier. And so, yeah, so I think that, it just changes everything. I'm just so happy about it. So, and then, we missed a couple of weeks on here. I think all of them were my fault. Um, so sorry about that.
Well, you've been traveling. Hold on. We're traveling.
Yeah.
So it is definitely something that I know like next week I don't know if I've decided to go or not go. I have a work event that I need to drive 3 hours to, and I don't know if I want to do it. I'm kind of on the fence. But then I go to Washington, D.C. in a couple weeks as well,
Yeah. So
which is
I might have to be a solo act for a week, which wouldn't be as fun. So, yeah. Anyway, so getting into today's topic, I thought it would be fun to take it back to the 80s. And we didn't have time, but I wanted to like dress 80s and have like 80s hair and like, that would have been fun. But then we thought about it and we didn't. We wanted to take a look at like real estate, like 1983. And I picked 1983 for a reason
no, we should
versus
have
now.
done
What should we have done?
time out. It should have been the 80s versus 2025. I could
Yes.
One of us should have dressed up in the 80s, the other one should have been like 2025. I actually have my original crimper from the 80s.
Oh, I can crimp my hair. I got a waiver. It's the same. It's
No, no,
almost the
no.
same thing.
No, the
You have the
crimper.
actual waffle. Yeah.
The waffle where you rat your hair.
Yes.
I have my original one from the 80s. I cannot, well, okay, in all
Fluorescent
honesty,
ponytail holder or
I
clip.
am very scared to keep it plugged in. I'm waiting for a fire. Like,
Well,
it is my
yeah, it's like it's
fear.
old.
It
That's
is
old.
slightly old.
It's old like us.
I think
So
we're beautifully young.
1983. Picture it. I'm going to do a
1983.
Sophia from the Golden Girls. For anyone who's too young, sorry, you won't get this. Picture it, 1983. So, and I chose 1983 because my parents bought, in the house my dad is still in, Clinton Township, Michigan, just to give everybody a context. Hello, Abraham. So glad you're here. So in 1983, they bought my dad's house that he's in right now for 88. It was 83,000.
Yes, it was
$83,000.
83,000.
$83,000. Today in 2025, I could easily sell it for 350,000. Okay. So it's interesting because that house was built, I believe, in like the late 70s. So it was a newer home for that period of time. And they still had to do a lot of work to it because the person that had it like didn't take care of it very well for 4 years or whatever it was. And so essentially $83,000. But here's the thing. People want to talk about the rate being so high. Yes, it's back up to about 7-ish%. It bobbles around 6.5 to 7. It's all over. But back in 1983, it hit 19%.
Yeah,
I
it
want to
was
let that
hovering
sink in.
between. So right now,
Crazy
it was
town.
18 to 19%. That's where it's hovering. Right now, we're hovering high six, low sevens. So
Right.
that's where we're at right now. So when we're talking about interest rates, not we're just gonna talk a 720 credit score. Okay. We're not
Right.
just,
So apples
you're
to
talking about,
apples.
no, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, just so we're discussing the same thing. Let's say the credit's 760. So if you're at 760, back then you were hovering between the 18 ish and then a little less credit, you're at 19. Right now, it's in the sixes, the high sixes, mid sixes to the sevens, which
Right.
is to kind of give you an idea the differences between 1983 and 2025.
Yeah. And what's wild is so in in essence, what real estate is it makes sense that the pricing of homes is supposed to go down when you have high inflation or the rate goes up, which makes sense why the house was, $83,000. I could sell it today for 350,000. And not just because my dad has done some things. He actually, the carpet is, my bedroom carpet is still pink with the pink wallpaper. My brother's bedroom carpet is still blue with wallpaper. And like
Is it a time capsule
it's
in a
not that bad. No, no, no.
situation?
It's not terrible. It's just like the
Okay.
kitchen. The kitchen does have linoleum, but like it's he did upgrade the counters, which is nice, and did some things. But yeah, it's essentially the same house. And the truth is, he's made a good investment because he's going to sell and he's got it paid off. But the rate has a big part in that. So the reason why the prices can go higher is because the rate has been lower for us. Like in our group and in our like maybe last 10 years, it's been great. I mean, we had as low as in the twos back in 2021. I'm at 3 now because I refinanced then. So that's the whole point, is like I'd love for you to give like the percentages, because I know you did some work on that, like the difference between then and now, the
I
same
did.
house. Yeah. So
So with Holly's dad's house as an example, in 1983, the house was purchased for $83,000. Equivalent. So talking if we had to compare apples to apples, what that would mean today. An $83,000 house back then would be equivalent to a 2000 no, $270,000 home now. So there is that increase. You will see that increase, that inflation, but that's the equivalent from then versus now, which so over 30 years, he it would be worth or he would have paid over $430,000
right
for a home
when
like
you
that if it was today, all
yeah,
said and done. So he's
right,
done fantastic. I mean, they all
yes,
have. My my parents bought their house in Royal Oak. So we had two homes. We had one in southern Royal Oak and then moved to northern Royal Oak for the different schools. So they bought their house, I believe in 1986 for 55,000.
okay.
The homes on that street are selling for a million.
Oh, I believe it. I
It's
believe it, because
it's
Royal Oak is one of those areas where
it boomed over
we
the
always
last
talk
20
about Royal Oak.
years.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
done videos there. We've done videos there, community stuff. We love going down there for the events and the things to do. It's a great community, walkability, downtown area. So yeah, people love Royal Oak. And that's that the areas like that where they're up and coming, like, well, that's not up and coming. It's been doing well for a
Well,
while, but like
but it was
Berkeley,
up and coming back then. So where
yeah,
you invested, like where your dad invested, he didn't know the school district he was going to be in was going to be so good.
right.
He it stayed can actually from what I've heard, and this is hearsay, I could be wrong. I don't know Macomb County as well as others. I'm a transplant. I'm from Oakland. I'm from Royal Oak, so I don't know it. Royal Oak was up and coming in the 80s with all the new hip stores. They had Nor Leather, wink, wink. If anybody lives around
I
here,
don't know what that is.
I don't know. I don't know. But like they had some hip stores that were there that just started attracting a whole bunch of people. The school district was getting better. It wasn't 100%. Now it's better than it used to be, but it
Yeah,
was an up and coming city. Your father also purchased in an up and coming city. So as a buyer who's looking right now, we're talking about interest rates and the difference between 1983 because you'll hear the older generation, "Well, I bought my house and it was 18%." It was,
yeah.
but the price was significantly lower. It's equivalent to 270
And the
now.
thing is that I want to interject right here is sometimes when you're talking to people who haven't bought a house since the 80s, they get like wigged out when we talk about where houses are priced. They think, oh my gosh, it's a bubble, it's going to burst. It's like, no, everything is relative. The cost of real estate does fluctuate. The rate came way down. So, yes. And we're in a situation now where we don't have enough affordable housing for people. We have a seller's market. Back then, it was a buyer's market. So buyers had the upper hand. It's not like that. Population has changed and shifted. The way we live has changed. So it's like, things don't stay the same. And guess what? Bread is not 10 cents a loaf anymore either. So things have changed. And the price of real estate ebbs and flows, but it's always going to have, that's what I love about real estate. It's always going to have value. And yes, if you make a good investment, you can stay there, pay it off, and then when you go to retire, you can make what was the percentage on that between the two, like 325% or something
Oh,
between
no,
what
it
he
was
what he bought
no,
it for and what he could sell it for?
it was 225%.
Now we're not actually thinking about the interest that he paid
No.
to because he didn't just pay 83,000, right? Obviously he had interest on that and
Mhm.
so I don't have an amortization scale in front of me to know what that would be, but it's usually obviously at least 3 times. Would you say?
Here,
At
I'll do
least.
it right now.
Oh, she's going to do it right
Heck
now.
yeah, I'm gonna do
My
that right
friend's
now.
cool.
All right. So if we're gonna run the same scenario, 83,000, 30 years at 18%.
Let's
Okay.
see. Let's see what his payment and interest and all that good stuff was.
All right. So the principal and interest was 1250. Reasonable. The total payments after 360 payments, 450,000.
Okay. So, but that's why we don't ever look at that, right? Nobody wants to
No.
actually see that because then you're like, okay, so if he essentially paid that, I don't know. Knowing my dad, he probably cut it down and made extra payments. I would assume if
Oh,
he just is that guy.
most
They
of
did.
them
He
did.
paid it off. He probably he refinanced and did all the things. He didn't stay at 18% for 30 years. But this is just to
No.
say if
No, no, you
if it
play the
was,
game.
he refinanced, he paid more payments. And it would be interesting to see if he added up exactly what he paid and what he could sell it for, what those two numbers are, because
Oh, that would be
wouldn't that be
a
cool?
really good question for him
Yep.
of,
To
okay,
see if he has that.
when was that last payment? And
Yep.
kind of have an idea because that would actually be really
But he
cool.
refinanced. Like he did not stay at 18%. I'm sure as soon
No,
as he
no, no,
came
he played
down,
the game.
right,
And
he played
this
the
is the
same game as everyone
point.
else.
But this is a point I think that should be made and should really encompass this whole conversation is no matter who you talk to, someone's going to have something to say. Well, back in
Yes.
my day, it was
Right.
18%. Well, yes, yes, but the loan was smaller. And then
Right.
compare it to 2025 or the individuals who are flexing at 2020 with the interest rates being so low. So, what we're finding right now and what's coming up are all the homes. So, it was a buyer's market back in 1983 due to the depression. There was a
Hmm.
lot more supply versus the demand. That's why the buyers had all of the power. Right now, we are opposite. We have very low supply and buyers who are waiting. And the only homes that are selling right now, not only, because you have divorce situations, you're moving, you're being transferred. But look at the age. How old is your dad? My parents are 72.
76. He's going to be 77 this
Okay.
year.
And so if he sells his house and my parents sell their house right about now, they bought their house for 55,000, your dad bought it for 83,000. They are now downsizing. These are the
Right.
homes that are coming up. This is why this topic is big, because you'll hear the individuals who are downsizing and they may want to downsize. Your father may go from that, he'll be able to sell his house for 350. If he downsizes, let's say he's going to go to a condo, maybe in the 200, 250 range, pay it off, but that'll be a sticker shock to him. It's a
Oh, he's
different
not moving. He
time.
told me you're gonna bear. I'm just gonna. The only way I'm going out of this house is, they're gonna wheel me out. I'm like, okay, let's not talk about that. No, because he doesn't have a payment, and it's a ranch. So that's so. I'm glad you brought that up because here's the other problem. We do have low inventory, and part of
We
the
do.
reason is we do have these retirees who have paid off their homes and who don't want to enter into another payment, but they're looking at, like, if it's a house like my dad is a modest home, it's a great house. I grew up in it, 2,000 square foot ranch. It was wonderful. But in order to get anything in a condo, he would have to pay more to get a newer, if he was doing some sort of the HOA fees and all the things to stay in that area. Sorry, I'm
Taxes.
having a hair moment. Yeah. So it's gonna be, he'd have to like really downsize, downgrade, and he's not gonna want to do
Mhm.
that. So that's why they don't. I think what we need for our retirees, we need some senior communities that don't suck. Like we need some good ones that are like, housing where they do, and a lot of condo associations are a lot of retirees, but not all. But it would be nice to have the senior 55 and over communities to give them some of those perks so they can have community with each other. They can give up some of these homes that families really could use and give us more affordable housing for the market instead of all the builders grabbing the land that we have and putting up new homes, new homes, new homes. And then they have to worry about affordability because again, people can only afford so much, and the new house construction price is way up there. So it's like this cyclical issue where if we just could solve, I think, that issue and make retirees feel comfortable to move out into, well, what are the perks for me? Well, it's a community. Like my dad, he works 3 days a week at Lowe's. He doesn't have to. He just wants to be around people. He doesn't want to do nothing. He goes out to eat. He does different things and he gets involved in stuff. But like,
Adult interaction.
yeah, it
Make
would be
them
great to be
be
part of
useful.
this. Florida
Mhm.
does a great job of it. I've heard of some really great 55 and up communities where they hang out, they're outside and they're tailgating practically. I mean,
Oh,
they do
my
things
mother's
together.
condo,
Yeah, they have fun.
pool parties. Well, she
Yes.
lives in Fort Myers, so different climate. She's on the very, very warm side of Florida, the southwest corner of Florida. They have pool parties, they have barbecues, they have ice cream socials, they have cards at night, they have pickleball. It is shuffleboard,
They have more
hot
fun than we do.
tubs.
They have more of a
Yeah.
social life than we do.
Well, there's a hired events coordinator on her
Yes.
property.
See, we need that here. We need somebody. I think it's just because it's cold here too, and people get like all like they're like
I
shut-ins in the
know.
cold. But we need that. We need communities so that we can have some of that affordable housing given back to the market so that younger families, first time home buyers can get into a home that's affordable, and then the people who are holding these homes can move up. Like there's because then you have the younger families who turned into older not old, but their kids are older or they're having more kids and now they need more space, so now they need to upsize, and they can kind of, it's like, it's like the musical chairs. But before I keep going on that, I was going to ask you the payments. So the
Yes.
different payments. So 1983, same house, what that payment would be versus if somebody bought it today. So 1983 purchased at about 83,000 versus today somebody buying it at 350,000. I think it's going to be interesting. Not
Okay.
that big of a huge difference.
So the payment for should we compare apples to apples? Like if it was uh so right now, so 1983, our example is 1250 and
Okay, and
some
that's
change.
Is that without like escrows?
Yeah,
That's
principal and
just
interest.
principal and
Thank
interest.
you.
Okay.
I
Yep.
didn't reiterate that. And if you sell the house for 350,
And this is a conventional product, obviously. Right.
yes.
Yeah. Oh, my hair is really
And we're talking about if this was a loan amount. These are loan amounts.
right.
Not I know we're saying purchase price, I have to say loan amounts.
Right.
So let's pick 699. We're looking at a payment of 2326.
And
So a
that's with
grand.
20% down on both of them?
No, that's just loan amounts. I just did 83,000 loan amount
I
and the
got you. Okay,
350
the loan
loan
amount.
amount.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So what was the other one? It was 23 something, and what was the other one?
So this is 2326.
Okay. So
Yes. And
current.
then 1225 was it?
Okay. So it's about $1,000 difference. I was thinking it was closer for some reason, but still, yeah. But I mean, when you're looking at such a big difference in price point and a huge difference, the price point went well, but the
Oh,
rate went down.
know what we should do? We should do it to this 270 mark. Hold on. Let's do that. Please forgive me.
Let's do the
I
fun.
know
Yes, we're
I
playing
know
fun
that
with
you
numbers.
I know you want to do what you can sell the house for, but let's just do what the house would, the equivalency of the
I
cost.
get it. So it's
So in
same house.
1983, it was 83,000, but it's equivalent to 270. So being at a 270 price point of that loan amount would be 1794. That's where you and I are thinking of getting it closer. It's only a
Closer, yeah.
$500 difference.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah. So it's again, and we may see. I don't see us going into a big enough downturn, and I obviously don't. I don't see us with the price point of where things are now. We wouldn't be able to sustain if the rate went super high like that. We'd have a big problem. We would not be able. No, would be moving at all. We wouldn't be able to sustain that. So the issue needs
Mm,
to just be like the whole affordable housing is,
yeah.
and I don't. We can't make more land. I can't make more land. So it's unless people leave and go start, North Dakota and go real frigid and just start living in areas like that, we have to figure out
I want a compound so bad.
it's too
Okay.
cold.
No, no, no. But here's the thing. Hold on. Hear me out. Hear
Montana's
me out.
pretty, but it's going to be cold.
Okay, but okay, so we'll have to figure out somewhere else. But I don't know why TikTok and all the ones with the reels can read my mind. It's like I just want a compound. I want tons of acres with multiple homes surrounding the outside of it and then a clubhouse in the middle.
Yes, you should talk to a developer. That's what they do in other
I
states. We don't have
want
that here in
that.
Michigan. I wonder
Can
if there's
we
anyone
sell?
that's on that has a community like that. Texas does it. Florida does it.
I would
I don't know if
love.
California does it. California, their terrain is so odd. They're in the mountains and desert, and so I don't know that they can do a
Could
community
you?
that big. They probably can, maybe Northern California, San Francisco. I don't know, but
And
like
I like my family. I totally would do that with my
I
family.
like my family.
I like my
Right.
so I'm very blessed. And I also I could also do a friend compound. Like I have some really amazing friends. I have some really amazing friends where how fun it would be to have like the small little homes and have
Yeah,
it just be a girl compound. I
so
know,
fun.
but I still even like a family one. I like my family, but now that the kids are older, how fun would it be to have a house and then a main house and then good starter homes or decent
Yeah,
homes
we can make
for
them
the
live by
kids.
us. Who's gonna say no to a free house? If we could create it, they'd have to stay. They'd have to be by us.
Bonfires. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a
So
minute.
much fun. We
Let
could
me hone
babysit the
in.
grandkids. I think this
Yeah,
is a great idea. We need to get a developer on
let's
board with this.
let me hone in on your daughter, okay? Her house has to face east. Is it east?
Wait, why?
What's a good lighting? Is it the morning
Oh,
lighting
I
the
was gonna say,
best?
I thought you meant for like we don't have to face it. So I think you want the north south, so the sun's going over you like a rainbow, and it's not coming in exactly, and you
Oh,
get like the. I think,
really?
I
That's a
think
good
so.
question. We'd have to ask Julia because that would be funny because your compound, one
She
house will
was
be angled
asking
one
where
way.
she asked. I did get out my compass when we were looking for her. We were looking at houses. She wanted to know, she did want to know where east was. So she wanted to know if the windows were going to be like direct sun, or she did ask me, and I had to, she's like, Mom, which direction's east? And I'm like,
I already knew. I
I
already
got my phone
knew.
out. I got my phone out and I went to the compass app and I'm like, well, we're standing northeast right now at, 36. I felt very, I was proud that I could figure that out without knowing. I'm like, well, she looked at me and I was like, that's so sweet that you think I know.
But that's affordability. Think about what you could do. So if you had a compound and you brought homes on, that would save the money, you buy the land, and you
Right.
just kind of parcel it out in a way. And I think that would be a lot of fun. But the up and coming conversation of the 1983 and what city to buy in, that's the next thing is like, where do you buy land to have that would be up and coming so
Right.
you can kind of buy in low. And then with the schools going and up and coming, so where we used to live is in a city right off the water. So the school district wasn't the best.
Mm.
And that's why we ended up moving from being on the water due to the school had two failing high schools out of three.
Oh, that's
Now
bad.
it was bad then, and I knew with time it would change.
Yeah.
And now the high schools are fine. Now I look back, my
We got
girlfriend
more
has her
tax
kids in the high
dollars.
school. It's it's better. Now it's up and coming.
Right. No, I think the up and coming areas right now, we've already lost that affordability because I've been looking. I'm closing on Friday with a cash buyer who wanted, we sold their house in Washington Township and they wanted to build an either Bruce or, they were in the Romeo schools, Bruce, or they're ending up in Ray, which is a great area.
Oh, I
Um,
like Ray.
Yep. We also were looking at Armada. We were looking at a lot of different, they wanted at least 5 acres. So they're getting like almost 13 acres. And it's interesting because they're paying a lot more than we would have seen these go not too long ago, but it's still a good price, I think. But yeah, like the quote up and coming where you can get land for cheaper. That's for us, it's way north. It's like areas where the builders haven't started yet. So if somebody's thinking, okay, I want to give a gift of land to my kids, and they're really little, and 20 years from now, it'll be oh, we lost CC. There she is. 20 years
Oh,
from now, it'll be you know, places that people are building. Yeah, you have to kind of project and take a look at the trends, where people are moving. And I love the IRS has migration patterns too that are cool. We can kind of see where people are going, where they're coming from, and where they're going to. But I mean, I miss the 80s in a way, not just because the houses were 83,000, even though their rate was 18 or 19%.
yeah, my
The
car said
historic,
19.
yeah, a simpler time. A simpler time when all us Gen Xers were outside riding our big wheels and staying out until the dark, and our parents they didn't even think to check on us.
The with the banana
Awesome.
seats and everything.
Banana seat. I love my banana seat bike. We were in such good shape for the amount. I wish I would have known how many miles I put on my bike. Crazy.
Tons.
And all the things that we did. Yeah. It was a very different comparing then to now. You can't. But I'm glad we got to live that out because yeah. But so the payment option when you're comparing an $83,000 home to a $270,000 home now is only a $500 difference. So
Yes.
that's one way to kind of shut down the whole conversation of, oh my gosh, you're overpaying. Oh my gosh, these houses are overinflated. They're worth more. They're really not. It's just, again, bread's not 10 cents a loaf either. You can't go to the movies for a quarter. The prices of cars, everything is increased, but the economy keeps things in line, and we'll see what happens. I think one thing else I'd like to say while I mentioned cars, not the hybrids, the electric cars were super inexpensive, even though that those prices are going to go up now, but they're trying to get everyone into that. But now that we don't, now that they're going to do some fracking, and we're going to use our own oil. I think our gas cars, our pricing hopefully is going to come down. I'm hoping we'll see that. But it's, economics. Things go up and down, things change.
With the jump of in 2020, that was a fluke year. And that's
Mhm.
something I think should be addressed because
Yep.
where homes were value wise
Yep.
jumped so significantly in 2020 and 2021. It's also affecting
21%.
it's affecting
15 to
these
21%.
numbers.
Yeah, it jumped at least 15 to 21% in different areas here in
Yeah, so
Michigan.
I think that that has a lot to do with the difference of that payment as well, going from 1250 to the 1700 is I think 2020 and we had such a jump that
Yeah.
was historical. We have
Yeah.
to talk about why that 500, when you compare the two, there's that 500, and I believe that 2020 and 2021 really catapulted that number. If 2020 and 2021 did not happen, I have a feeling things would be a little bit lower. That difference might have been 250
And
because it
no,
jumped.
well, and some of the appraisers, I talked to an appraiser specifically on this, and he told me our land, especially in the areas that he worked in, was severely undervalued. He said the thing is, after
Oh.
the 2008, the whole crash, right? The pricing was starting to come back, but it didn't come back fast enough in a lot of areas. And they were behind in really going back and doing the valuation. So he said, we were underpriced. And we know Hazel Park is one of the areas he did. He goes, we know we've been way there were they're getting back on track now. Now their taxes are crazy, right? But they said,
Yes.
sorry, this hair, they undervalued the land was so undervalued, is what he was saying. So we did see a jump
Really?
because he did. We saw a jump because when the rate went down, it opened up that door for that
Hmm.
adjustment. It made it more friendly, I guess, if you will.
Okay.
And so now we've got, the new floor
So help
is,
level out where those cities should have been?
yeah,
Was that
some of
his
them were
point?
severely under. Those houses, I looked them up. They were going for like $25,000 in
Oh,
Hazel Park.
yeah. No, my girlfriend picked up, like,
Crazy.
4 homes for, like,
Yeah.
100,000. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's not a true value either, right? That's like,
They were
I mean,
rough.
they were rough
They
and
were
people were
rough
walking
and
away. Yeah. So
yeah.
you can't we were coming back from the worst drop we've seen in a very long time in housing, and a true crash. That was a true crash where people lost their jobs, couldn't afford their homes, were over their head, didn't have equity where they could just sell it. So they just said, "Psst, I'm out," walked away.
Mhm.
A lot of people did that. And and so we had to come back from that because we're still not even 20 years out from that. The end of that was like 2009, 2010. We were starting to peep our head out just a smidge. We're not even 20 years out from that yet. So we were basically recouping, rebalancing a lot from that too.
Okay. Well, yeah, 16 years. Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't in a full real estate cycle. We haven't had a full cycle yet from the end of that. We're in the cycle still of that. And it depends on who you ask on how long a cycle would be.
I
But
was just about to ask, what
I
is the
would say, I
definition of
mean,
his cycle?
it depends who you ask. And I'd have to go on and get the definition of it, but I think it's at least 20 years, and it might be more. It might be
Okay.
more. And they also are going to, look at, okay, then we had a big boom, well, then we had COVID, right, which shut everything down for a short period of time. We were shut down for 7 months in real estate. It's enough. It was enough though. Wait, was it 7 months? No, it wasn't 7 months. We were shut down only 2 months, 2 or 3 months. Anyways, it was enough time that they shut the world down that everything came to a standstill, and to grind it to a halt and to get it going again. So that big pop that we also saw they stimulated the economy with a lot of things. They gave us the 3% and under rate. So everybody thought, oh my gosh. And because I was interviewed by the paper for that, I was one of the people that got to talk about how things changed based on COVID. So many people realized, if I ever have to get shut down again and locked in my house, this ain't the house I want to be in. They realized, I need a different scenario here. I need a bigger backyard. I need a pool. I need whatever it was. They wanted to move. I need a bigger space because my spouse and I almost wanted to kill each other. And then so many people started working from home. Now that might be changing now too. But with so many people working from home, they realized they didn't have a dedicated office. They were having to like construct things in their home to give them
Mhm.
soundproofing because the kids are screaming in one room and they're trying to actually have a job
I
in
forgot
another room.
all about that.
So how we lived changed post
Mhm.
2020 because people were like, we'll probably always have that in the back of our mind. If this ever happens again, do I want to be stuck in this place? So there's so many things that go into it, but it's just, we see, we adapt. It ebbs and flows. That's what I love about real estate. Just when you think you've got it figured out, it changes. There's something new. There's something that buyers want, or there's something, like barn dominiums, that was like a new thing.
Oh, yes.
There's like the tiny house phase, the craze for this and that. And it's just, there's always something. There's always something to keep us busy and to keep us relevant and to keep us focused in and studying. We never can just sit back and read we definitely have to pay attention to what's the trend, what's going on, what do buyers want, what's up and coming. It's a lot.
It is, and I
We have to
look
put on our
forward to the
smart hats.
future. Well, I look forward to the future of real estate and seeing what's going to happen, the developments that are going to happen, and the switches, because the boomers now, our
Right.
parents, they're in their 70s.
Yep.
That was a huge boom. Just to see how everything changes means changing now. Now that lawsuits are here, people are changing. Whoever owns the data is the winner. That's why
Yeah.
Zillow versus Redfin, that whole that conversation should be next week. Have you heard what's going on with
Well, we talked about it.
homes.com?
Well,
No,
now there's more to it. We talked
yeah.
about the beginning of it. Yes, because EXP was actually our CEO and our own founder were talking about, they actually thought Zillow was doing the right thing and they jumped on board with it because they're like, if this is the future, this is where we're going. There's a lot of reasons for that. But then also Rocket Mortgage, we talked about that a little bit too. They
Mhm.
bought Redfin, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, they bought Redfin, and then um, what did Zillow do? Well, Zillow's had Realtor for a while. Zillow's just basically saying like, we're not going to syndicate listings if they're not on the MLS, so they're not going to allow it, which I actually love.
Well, now
So,
homes.com is jumping in. Encompass. So you have
oh, Compass is doing
homes.com.
isn't right. They're only letting their own network see them.
Mhm.
That to me is illegal. That's not fair to buyers because if you're not in their network, you don't get to see their listings. And it's kind of silly when you think about it because their network isn't big enough, possibly. It's just, I think that's silly.
As if I was a seller, I don't think I'd want to be in such a
I don't
small
want that.
niche.
Heck
I want to be
no.
the big
I want
pond. I
everybody
want
to see my
everybody to
house.
see this house is for
Everybody.
sale. I need it off the market. Let's go.
The only people that win in that situation are real estate agents. I understand why the real estate agents think it's awesome because they're like, they can recruit, they can basically say to everyone, hey, I have this amazing listing. If you want to know about it, you got to come to me. I mean, it was like back in the day before the internet where things were even out on the internet and they had the big book. They put it in a paper and you had to go to open houses. Like you essentially had
Mhm.
to go find the houses instead of like using technology. So they're actually trying to like backpedal it and be weird and like, oh no, we've got listings that we're not going to tell anybody about. So for the agents, I could see them loving that because they're like, ooh, it's exclusive through me. But for a seller, that's not a good thing for you. That means that
No.
like you're breaking down your margin of who's going to see your house and you want to get the most people through so you can get more offers and bid each other up and get the most money. That's what the whole thing is about, exposing it to the masses, not to 10% of the market, 20% of the market. Doesn't make
And
any
I
sense.
and I feel more recently, I should say, talking to buyers, a lot of them are actually just wanting to do it on their own. Like, well, and then we've had a few go under contract and things are going sideways. Like, see, there's a purpose.
There's a
There's a
reason why
purpose.
we have a
Now,
license to
what
do
if
what we do.
there are some times it just goes smooth. If you have a good loan officer, a good title,
Sure,
buying for sale by owner, it actually could go smoothly. I'm not saying
it
it
could.
won't.
It could.
Yes.
But
But
the stats show that you're leaving money on the table. We have the stats to show when
as
you
a
sell
seller,
yourself. As a
yeah,
seller, you're not making as much money even after paying commission. We have the stats that show, because what
yeah.
we do brings we bring all the buyers to the yard. Our milkshake brings all the buyers to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours. Yes, it is. The way
Eh,
we do it is better, because I mean, it's what we do for a living. Of course we're better at it than you are at selling your own house. It's not what you do. No one said you couldn't do it. It's
No,
just you're
you
not
can
as good.
still do
You're
it.
not going to do as well.
If things go sideways, it's really good to have representation.
Yes.
It truly is. On the
Yes.
buyer side, it's good to have that renegotiation. Feelings are hurt. It's a little more neutral grounds because you don't know who's on the other side. The
No.
seller could be highly emotional and tied to the property because that's where they raise their friends, but the buyer is still like, it's a house, dude.
Right. Oh yeah, the level of drama in real estate transactions can be super high. I can't imagine some of the more highly dramatic situations that I've seen and heard of. I can't
Yeah.
imagine buyer and seller being able to figure it out. Like, it
That
would have
conflict
never got to the
management.
closing table ever. You need impartial parties, like going to court and being like, "Yeah, I'm on trial for murder, but I'm gonna, I can do this. I'm gonna defend myself. I'm not guilty. I'm just gonna defend myself," right? Like, maybe not. Maybe you don't want to do that. And if your house is your biggest investment, most people, their house is the biggest investment that they have. Why are you going to throw the dice with that? I I just, the mentality, I don't get it. I don't, because it's like the penny smart, dollar stupid. Oh, I'm saving X amount percent in commission. But what if you're losing double that because you don't know how to negotiate things and you don't know what your house is truly worth and you didn't get the
Mhm.
best offer? Let's talk about that. You got a buyer that was fine, but you could have got a buyer that would pay a lot more and close you faster because you made sure that buyer was actually pre-approved, which we won't even get into because that's a whole different story.
Gosh,
And you have to sell
today,
your own house 3 times because you don't know how to find out if a buyer is actually a viable buyer, because you don't know how to do that. You don't know the
my
questions to
day.
ask.
She's talking about my day today, everybody. This is
I
my
mean, this is, well,
day.
it's every day in real
No,
estate. Like,
it's that was my day
you get a
today.
bad lender that
Poor,
doesn't know what they're doing.
those poor sellers has to go back on the market third time. I cannot believe. So just to kind of recap for everybody, like we're talking code, a national bank, local national
Bank, not a lender. Bank.
bank that starts with a P, ends with a C.
Ends with a
Anyways,
C.
see, pre-approved somebody but didn't. And now they're under contract and the person can't even afford the home. I had to come in and the break the news. I'm sorry. This isn't going to work. And they were being ghosted. Oh my gosh, my poor heart. Like it breaks. That's the hardest part of my job is to have to turn to a client saying, "I am sorry. They sold you a dream that can't happen." That's
No.
why you work with local. That's why you work with trusted people and you find your team and you're organized before you go out shopping. We can
And
move
you
as
can't get
fast as
pre-approved in 15 minutes, y'all. You can't blast off and get your pre-approval just by talking over the phone and giving numbers that may or may not even be accurate. Have someone spit you out a piece of paper, go shopping for a house, get under contract. I honestly feel bad. That agent, though, I'm hoping that agent called that lender, the loan officer, not a lender, and
they
said,
won't even call them back. It's
no, but
been
if she
ghosted.
accepted the offer, I would never accept an offer if I didn't talk to the person that wrote the
No,
pre-approval.
they talked to him, but I don't
So
think
I
the
think
le
that agent needs to let
not even a
the seller
lender,
know. I mean, you guys are
the
licensed like
bank
we are.
teller.
Well,
I
they
feel
need
like
to
we
go
should say
back.
bank teller.
They need to go back and put in a dispute. I know for us, you can put in a dispute against real estate agents that mess up really bad. And I know you guys are held to the same standard. Somebody needs to do that because that person, whoever wrote that letter, needs to go back to school and learn how to be
Math.
an actual loan officer.
They need a
They
math.
shouldn't be allowed to do that.
I think we're talking about a bank teller versus a loan officer. Big difference.
Well, and why are they giving this person the ability to write a pre-approval letter? I mean, we're talking about like we've had so many changes to the way lending is done post like we just talked about 2008. Part of the reason there the crash wasn't just the job market, it was also
No.
that these lenders did bad business, the appraisers were getting paid off, they overinflated everything, people were in loan products they could not afford to be in. It was the perfect storm because then you lose your job, you can't afford this at all because you don't have a nest egg, and it was a mess. So that's
Yes.
the thing, and so we're not supposed to have those kinds of situations anymore. Yeah. Anyways, we could go off into a tangent, but I think we've done
No.
our 1983 comparison. We did a good job.
Yes. Yes, we did.
Like it's
No, I like it.
1983. That was my title. I was like pulling
We
out the
should
whole
have
99 Prince
we
thing.
should have brought in a theme song. What is here? Hold on, let me check it out. What was a popular song in
Ooh,
1983?
1983. What would have
Here.
been a
1983
Madonna,
was
Madonna, Prince, Michael Jackson, Bon
all
Jovi.
right. Let's see.
Wait, Bon
Let's
Jovi,
see.
was he 83? Or is that
Was Every Breath You Take by the Police.
the Police? There you go.
It topped
That
the
was the
Billboard
most, that was the
year-end
top.
100 chart for that year. Became one of the most iconic tracks. All right. Yeah. Flashdance, Down Under, Beat It by
I
Michael
said Michael,
Jackson.
I'm like, well, where's
Yep.
Michael Jackson or Madonna?
Beat It.
Somebody beat it.
Yep. Beat It.
I love
Yeah.
Michael.
We should have a theme song. We should have thought about that. Know what? Next time
We
we
should have
do a
dressed like
comparison.
Michael. Oh, that would have been so smart.
Do you
Got the
have a
beat up
leather
jacket with
jacket?
the.
I don't have a leather jacket.
I have a total studded up leather jacket.
Do
I don't
you?
know that it's not It's not red like Thriller though. It's not like that. It's black. But yeah, I do. I love that
Cute.
jacket. I should wear it.
I don't think I've ever seen it. Have
You
I
haven't.
seen it?
I'm gonna wear it out. Well, now I can't. It's too warm now. No, you haven't. Yes. Why don't I wear that? It's so cute. It's really a cool jacket. Yeah.
Pull it back into rotation.
Yeah. I gotta pull it into the rotation. She needs to come out. It's time.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, this has been amazing. I want to thank everybody who watched us live. And if you're watching on the replay, we typically are live on Tuesdays at 6:30, but we may try Tuesday at 2. We may try 2 o'clock just because we're getting into our busy season. So you might find us a little bit earlier. The only thing I can tell you is tap the bell for notifications. And that way, when we do go live, you'll get notified and you'll know. And you can subscribe and like the episode and all the things, and that way you won't miss any episodes. Feel free to go back, rewatch everything. Got a lot of great episodes. We love talking about everything real estate and mortgage, keeping you in the know. And we're kind of
Really
fun
real
too.
estate.
It's really real estate. So
Yes.
cheers again, my friend. Feel better. I
Yes.
know you're getting yourself over being sick. You're a rock star for being here today. Much
I'm making
appreciated.
it.
You did great. You did great. Thank you again. Everybody have a blessed week. We'll see you next time.
Bye.